All right, so we've done some work with exponential expressions and radical expressions. Today we're going to combine those two things in assignment number 5. There's exponential form and radical form, and then we're going to deal with rational exponents for the first time. Those are exponents that are fractions. And so let's go ahead and get started. Start with these two with your calculator. Just see what 25 to the 1/2 power is and 27 to the 1/3 power is on your calculator. If you could pause the video and just try that right now on your own, and then start the video. What you'll see is that 25 to the 1/2 power is just equal to 5. And that is because this 2 here is our index. Here's our exponent. In other words, this can be written as the square root of 25 to the 1st power. And 25 to the 1st power we know is 25, and the square root of 25 is just 5. Same thing, 27 to the 1/3 power, well, that's 3. That's because this is our exponent and this is our index. In other words, we could write this as the cube root of 27 to the 1st power. And 27 to the 1st power, 27 to the 1st power is 1, but then the cube root of 27 is 3. And so the big idea here that we are going to learn is that if we have a to the power of m over n, that's the same thing as the m being the exponent, the n being the index, which means we could, and the a being the base. This is exponential form, and then we can write it in radical form, where the n, or the index, is here, the exponent, the m, is here, and then the base is simply the radicand. And so those two forms mean the exact same thing. So now, without your calculator, let's start over and let's see if we can figure what 32 to the 3/5 power is without using your calculator. Well, we might want to start by writing this as the fifth root of 32 to the 3rd power. Well, I could take 32 to the 3rd power first, but it might be easier to take the 5th root of 32 first. The 5th root of 32 is 2, and then 2 to the 3rd is 8. And so 32 to the 3/5 power is simply 8. We can do the same thing with 25 to the 3/2 power. That's the square root of 25 to the 3rd. And again, I could take 25 to the 3rd power first, or I could take the square root of 25 first. The square root of 25 is 5, and then 5 to the 3rd is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. And so those are two things that we should be able to do without our calculator. Let's try some problems that are a little bit more difficult maybe. What is negative 32 to the 4/5 power? Well, that's the 5th root of negative 32 to the 4th power. Well, the 5th root of negative 32 is just negative 2. That's something that we probably should know. And then negative 2 to the 4th power, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That's going to be positive 4 times positive 4. Well, that is 16. And so for number 3, our final answer there is 16. Let's take a look at number 4. We're adding some things here. Here we have a variable for the first time. This is the same thing as the 5th root of negative 32 y to the 15th. And that's all to the 1st power. Well, the 5th root of negative 32 is negative 2. And then if I'm taking y to the 15th out in groups of 5, that's simply going to be y to the 3rd power. And so there we have negative 2y to the 3rd power as our final answer. Let's take a look at a couple more examples with this. We're combining all of the properties that we've learned up to this point. Here I'm going to take x to the 2/3 and y to the negative 1/6, all to the negative 12th power. Well, this is the power property, or the expanded power property. I'm going to take x to the 2/3 to the negative 12th. I'm going to multiply those together. Positive 2/3 times negative 12 is negative 8. That's x to the negative 8th power. And then if I take y to the negative 1/6 to the negative 12, I'm multiplying the powers together. Negative 1/6 times negative 12 is positive 2. But then I have to remember that a negative exponent goes on the bottom. So I can write this as y to the second on top and x to the 8th on the bottom. So my final answer is going to be y to the second over x to the 8th. Then the last one here. This is all the same thing as the square root. The square root of 16x to the 14th over 81 y to the 18th. Well, let's do this one part at a time. The square root of 16, well, that's just 4. The square root of x to the 14th, well, I'm going to divide that. That's x to the 7th. Or I can think of it as I'm taking them out in groups of 2. How many groups of 2 do I have in 14 x's? That's 7 of them. Then the bottom, the denominator, the square root of 81 is just 9. And then the square root of y to the 18th, that's 18 divided by 2, which is y to the 9th. And so my final answer there is going to be 4x to the 7th over 9y to the 9th. These are the type of problems that we're going to have on our homework assignment for number 5. And we will look forward to that tomorrow in class.